Alaikum salam. Let's go on. So last time we talked about a bunch of things, really. We touched on the Java IDE. I gave you a little bit of stuff about arithmetics. Today we'll talk about the precedence of arithmetics. What does precedence mean? What comes before the other? When you're evaluating an expression, what comes before the next? So let's refresh your memory on all of these things. Again, it's just the first week, so we're taking it easy on you guys. Can someone please close the door? The Java naming convention. I cannot emphasize the importance of you reading this link. Okay, I'm posting all of these PDFs online for you guys so you guys can see them on Blackboard. Please have a look, click, go and read it. The major things that you need to know is how do I name classes? How do I name variables? How do I name methods? And we didn't talk about naming packages last time. How do you think you should name packages? What is it? Not exactly. They are actually different than everything else. They're not like classes or like variables. They're all small case. In fact, if you remember the Eclipse program that I did last time, the package was all small case. Always when you import, small case, small case, small case. Okay? Constants, all uppercase. Okay? Very good. I want you to be professional programmers, clean programmers. And programming, by the way, it's a beautiful thing, guys. I mean, I cannot emphasize the beauty of programming. During my PhD, when I was so sick of what I was doing, I was programming. It takes me away from what I was doing, and I did apps, Android apps. And today, you're lucky because you come into a program and you can already develop things yourself and put them on the market and sell them. My application, just playing around. I was getting, I mean, roughly, I'm not showing off or anything, by the way. I'm just telling you to motivate you. Roughly $3,000 a month I was getting off of my app. That's the net that I was clearing. And that's always a side project. You guys can do stuff like that today. Only it's missing the passion. There was a story of one of my students, female student, I did my Android course. Today she has an application, Speedly it's called. It was in the newspapers. Basically, you book an appointment for car wash here in Qatar. So you say, I want to clean 3-4 cars. The car comes based on the schedule and the preference. Do you want polish? You don't want polish, all these things. She did it because she's passionate as well. And I'm sure she's making good money out of it as well. And the country needs entrepreneurs today, not just people that work in governments. So, passion, you're lucky you're here because I'm passionate too, and you're in this program. So let's all do programming, right? Okay, precedence, promotions, demotions, method signatures, recursion, system out, and scanner. These are very simple things, I think, all of them. So these are the precedents. I mean, if you see there are 3 rows here. Can everyone see this? Let's see if my pen actually works. So priority 1 is these guys, priority 2 is these guys, and priority 3 are these guys. When you evaluate a long expression, first thing you need to look for is multiplication, division, and all of these arithmetics like the remainder, the modulus. Then you have the pluses, minuses, and then finally the assignment. I'm not going to go over all of this. You probably know most of it. Some of these are relational. These are called unary operators, the ones we talked about last time. You guys know what unary means? Think about binary. The same roots. These are Latin words, and they're easy in a way because they're a combination of things. Bi means 2. So binary means an operation that takes 2. Actually, binary is like 0 and 1. That's why it's 2, right? Unary means 1 operator only, which is the variable that you have, plus plus A, plus plus B. So it's only 1. That's why it's called unary. Okay. What's 3? Tritary, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's move on. Promotions last time, I think Muhammad was asking, do I need to memorize the sizes of the primitive data types? And I told him no, but what you do need to know is what's bigger than the other one. So if I ask you, do you need a promotion the motion, you need to be able to answer this and say, yes, I need to explicitly demote or cast something. We'll talk about all of these later. Little test here. Evaluate this guy. What's X? Good. Who said 43? Thank you. Very quick. Why? Okay, let someone else pick this up and see. Can you guys find out the same answer? Someone else. First thing you do is what? Is it multiplication or is it the division? It's actually division, you know, English left to right. So let's do left to right. First operation you see is the division. 5 by 2 is what? It's supposed to be 2.5, but here you're doing integer divided by an integer, which results in an integer, so you lose the decimal points, right? You lose the precision. So you end up with a 2. 2, and then what do we do next? Multiplied by 20, and finally you add 3. Everyone sees this? Yeah? Long one. That's a long one. You have an or, you have an and. These are the major things that I'm seeing. And then you have a relational operator here. So you have 3 sentences, and you're trying to see whether this entire thing is true or false. Where would you start? And by the way, does the or come before the and, or the and comes before the or? This is critical. This is extremely important. It can change the output. And? Who says and? Let's make a vote. If the front row guys, يعني, what about or? Anyone says or first? والباقي? Both of them come first? Okay, thank you. At least an answer. Raise your hand, ya shabab. Abstain. Here it's a binary operation. It's either 0 or 1. You cannot be gray. Okay, let's see. Let's go back here. Look at this. Which one comes first? Wa alaikum salam. And comes before the or. So, because the and comes before, let's do this one. On one side we have true. Let's see if this other guy is true. What do you think the answer is? 20 modulus 5. So is this true or false? So these two guys are giving me false. Now false or something, it depends on that something, right? If it's true, then the whole thing is true. So let's look at this. What are you going to evaluate first? Let's do this guy. Division first, 10 divided by 5 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 minus 4 is -2. Everyone following me? Let's do the right side expression. 10 divided by 10, 0 minus 2. Is this expression true or false? False. So the whole thing is false. Excellent. Oh, I love these. I really like these. By the way, you're never going to see this in a real program. We don't code like this. Okay, but this is just for me to test how you know your unary operators. Yes. So one guy is saying y is 10. آخر شنو آخر اختيار شو يقولون 10 or 11? Some guys, so how many people say 11? How many people say 10? Thank you. Wow, it's a tight battle actually. Let's see the guys. Anyone else? 9? Okay. So usually the question goes, after these two sentences, what's the value of x and what's the value of y? You guys are saying y is either 10 or 11. Let's have a look, right? The first expression, what does it do exactly? It really does two things, right? You guys see this? It's really doing two separate things. It's incrementing x by 1. So after this sentence, after executed, x becomes after it's done, right? So the first step, before I increment it, x is before the plus plus. So what does this return? That entire sentence, what does it return? It returns the old value of x. So now this is returning 5. But x became 6, right? Now let's go to the second expression. Here, x is 6 because I incremented it, right? I'm returning the old value, which is 6, and then I'm decrementing x to 5. So what do you end up with? 5 plus 6, which is 11, and the value of x after this line executes is 5. So 5, 11. You got it? I mean, I can make, a variety of this. I can tell you plus plus x plus x plus plus. I can make things easier, right? Can you guys tell me this one? Let's say x is 5, and I'm telling you evaluate this guy. What does plus plus x return? The new value, which is 6. So this will be 6. And after this sentence was executed, x became 6. X in the end, be 7, yes. So this actually you can tell quite quickly, right? Because you're seeing two pluses on the both sides. So you know x is incremented twice. So it will be 7, that is correct. X is 7 in the end. And here, what do I have? I'm returning the old value. Now it became 6. And then x became, after this, x became 7. But what I'm really adding is the old value. So now 6. Don't mess this up, right? When I speak, it's easy, guys. When you try to do it with your hand, it's different stuff. Can I repeat this? This one? So you realize that the value of x after this part became 6. When I tell you the value of x is 6, and I tell you x plus plus, what does x become after this sentence? It becomes 7 because you're incrementing it. But what does this sentence return? Always two things you need to keep in your mind. What is it returning, and what is it doing to x? Here I'm returning the old value. The old value is 6. The new value is 7. So if this sentence was like this, I'm returning 7. And this becomes 13. Okay? Everyone, capiche? Here, if I have another x plus plus, okay, so here it was 7. I'm returning the old, which is 7. X became 8, but I'm adding 7 to 6 to 5. You got it? Method signatures and recursion. Usually I don't talk so much about recursion in this class, but let's see. Maybe I will with you guys. Method signatures. What's a method signature? That looks like a signature, right? It's not mine. So what's a method signature? What's a signature? Actually, why do I ask you guys to sign sometimes? When you register somewhere, they say sign. It's unique, right? It's unique for you. It's like your fingerprint, hopefully, right? Your signature. So what makes a method the same? Unique. The name? What if can I have two methods of the same name? Yeah, I can. So that doesn't make it unique. It's a good point. Name and parameters. Can I make two methods with the same name and the same parameters twice? Think very carefully before you answer. The type, he's saying the type of parameters. So if I have two methods, let's open my favorite program. It's the only program that Microsoft did that just works. Did Notepad ever crash? No. It's the only one. So if I ask you guys what's my favorite program on Windows anyway, it's Notepad. Okay. So one guy said, okay, let's do method X. Can I have two methods of the same name in the same file? Yeah, but what do I need to change? He's saying, now it's changing, right? The number of parameters, the data types that you're putting in, the order of the parameters. So if I do double X and Y, can I do here and Y double X? Will this work? Yes, it works. Are these the same signature? No, they are two different methods. Is this enough? Let me show you something else. Can I do something like this? Method X double X and Y. Two of them in one file. Forget this last guy. I'm overriding. But what do I need to do to make sure these two can exist and they're not exactly the same? No, something else. I need to keep these exactly the same. The parameters and the method name are the same, and I can still have both of these in the same program. Yes? No. Not that one. Close. Good try. Yes. No. Forget classes. Forget global. Forget comments. No, no comments. No. I'm not going to ask you this. Believe me. If I was asking about inheritance, I would be unfair to a lot of you. So, nobody? Can I have these two things exist in one file and make them different? The answer is yes. Let me tell you, because you guys are taking too long to answer that one. The return data type. So that's what makes a signature. Sometimes you have two methods that have the same parameters, but they return different things. Can they exist in the same file? Yes, and they are two different methods. Okay, so if I tell you what makes a signature, you need to be able to tell me the method name, the number of parameters, the type of parameters, the return data type, and the order of the parameters. It's all on YouTube, right? So you don't have to do much, hopefully, in this lecture. Questions? Capiche? Kajibuni. Let's move on. Let's do recursion. I'm going to be quick with this one. Let's just see if you guys can remember recursion. At the moment, I'm giving you something like this. I'm telling you this. What is this doing exactly? What is this going to print? Is here. Actually, 0.0 means no decimals, no precision. So what will this print? Right? Okay, so factorial of 3 is 0. Now, I want you to fix this. And I want you to make it call itself until it returns the correct factorial. How? For loop. Any other ideas? If statement. How does recursion work? Yes, you make the function call itself. Thank you. So no for loops. You guys understand what recursion means? To recurse is to call yourself with a different value. But if you keep doing this, what will happen? You will reach infinity and your program will crash with a stack overflow. Stack Overflow, familiar? I'm sure a lot of you know this website. Yes. So it's a reference for many people, I know, especially the good students, I guess I would call them. They go to Stack Overflow. That's a Stack Overflow. Why? Because you're making the program call a lot of functions to infinity. So the program crashes. The stack, usually in a Java program, 64 megabytes, it's gone, it's busted. I know I need to do something like this, right? I need to call fact. With what? In essence, what am I doing? If I tell you factorial of 3, what are you doing? You're taking 3 and you're multiplying it by 2, by 1. You multiply it by 0? No, you stop, right? So there's your condition. You know that when you're at 1, you need to stop. And here, what do? Well, I need to return x times the factorial of 2. Am I right? The factorial of 2 is minus minus, right? I'm at 3 now. The first time I call this function, I have x as 3. So now I need to pass 2. How can I pass 2? Thank you. Minus minus x will give me the new value of x, and then fact will be called with 2. Will this work? This actually works, but you have a problem. Factorial of 1 will call factorial of 0, factorial of 0 will call factorial of minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. You have a stack overflow. So where's your condition? You need to have a condition. You need to say plus or bigger than 0. I like that one. When do you stop? If you're a factorial of what number do you need to stop? Factorial of 1. Thank you. So if x equals 1, what do I return? 1. What's factorial of 1? I don't need to call myself again. I know what the factorial of 1 is. It's 1. You don't need to call that function again. Otherwise, call that function again. That's your factorial recursion right here. You understand it? A lot of students find it a little fuzzy because how can a function call itself? Is this correct? Factorial of 3 is 6. Yes. The type of the method is this, right? Or do you mean the modifiers, these? Yes, you can. Yes. We cannot put the same name with different data types? Return data types? You mean this void? You might be right, actually. So the only thing with the signatures I'm thinking is this doesn't make a signature, the return data type. You don't know what's going to return. Yeah, he's right. Thank you. So remember I told you for signatures, you need 5 things. Scratch that, you need 4 things. Okay? You need the arguments, the data types of the arguments, basically the order, how many, and the actual name of the function. The body of the method doesn't matter, and the return data type does not. Thank you. You just reminded me of this. All right. Any questions here? If I do int here, I'll get to you. Just give me 1 minute. And this is int. And then let's do a factorial of like 100. What do you think I'm going to get? Yeah, it's complaining about this one. What is this doing? And why 0? Anyone? Let's make this easier for you guys. I'll just use systout println. Okay? Instead of this one, we'll just have this guy in the bottom. Now run. So it's giving me 0. Why is that? Cannot take the decimals, exactly. So basically you have a buffer overflow. You have a certain number of bytes that you can put in an integer. When you overflow it, but you shouldn't get a 0. I don't know why I'm getting a 0. Usually you get minus a huge number. That means you have a buffer overflow, not a stack overflow. Yes, question. I do. I usually, let me tell you something about, this is a good chance. It's not about you, but just general comment. If you've not attended one of the lectures, I have them online. So you can go and look at them. That's the cool thing about YouTube, right? And then when you come see me, do not ask me to go over the material. What I want you to do is bring me specific bullet points that I can discuss with you. That way, you save my time and yours, actually. Okay? Because one thing I don't like to do is do the same lecture twice. So it's your job to come here, and the YouTube videos are there too. So make sure you watch them. If you still have questions, come see me. And this applies to everybody, not just our friend in the back. I forgot to do something. You guys notice that? What is it that I forget? Yes, thank you. So let's do this real quick. I don't like how long it takes the attendance to do it. That's why my students, my senior students, are doing this app, right? That I told you about yesterday. ضياء موجود اليوم. فهد الأحمد مبارك العنزي عبد الله العجي. I thought I saw my name for 1 second. سعيد الهاجري. No. عيسى الحميدي. جميل الجبري. راشد المناعي. راشد أحد. إبراهيم مهندي. سعد رويلي. عبد السلام السميني. أحمد الحيدر. مهدي الحداد. محمد المري. عبد الله المهندي. عبد الله صقر. عبد الرحمن النجار. يزان مسعود. أحمد مسعود. عمر محمد. بسام ناصر. عمر سبسكرايبر. نايف رضوي. سالم رشيد. أسعد وأمين. Submit. Those that didn't come last time, did you receive an email? You have been marked as absent. Okay. All these cool things that I'm trying to work my way through. Anyway, so system out, system in. What are these two things? Yes, what do they deal with usually? System out. From the keyboard, that's the critical word right here. You're using standard input, which is the keyboard, and output, standard output, which is usually, yeah, your monitor or whatever, right? The black screen or the little screen out in Eclipse. Do I need to import to use them? Yes, they don't. What is it? I actually don't need to import them. So here the answer is no. Okay. Even system in. Yes, you need a scanner to make it work. I'll show you next. But you don't need to import anything to use system in. If you just type system.in, you'll see that it's already defined, right? No. Have you ever done import system.in something? No. So that's why, no, it's not in a package. System out functions. You have print, println. What's println? Print with a new line after. So whatever I type, I will have a new line after the sentence. Printf. I love printf. It's like the hardcore stuff, right? If you want to do 3 decimals, 4 decimals, if you want to print out 2 strings, 3 strings, you use printf. There are very nice tutorials, actually. I did link them here. That shows you the entire printf and how you can use them, what kind of percentages you need to use. What is it? Yes, exactly. Plus, 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 plus. You don't need to do that. Instead, you just do percentages, and then you use commas in the end to denote all the parameters. Which one most closely resembles cout in C++? I would say print. There's no clear answer. Don't worry, this is not coming in the quiz. My quizzes are usually clear. Usually, okay, I'm not saying. And when they're not clear, everybody gets the grade. If somebody comes to me and really gives me a good argument, like he did now, he said, the return data type, wait, it doesn't make the signature, I will give everybody these points, okay? And you have him to thank for that. Anyway, scanner. Remember when I told you teach a man how to fish? This is exactly the fishing rod that I'm giving you right here, right? I'm not giving you the fish. I'm giving you the fishing rod, hopefully. You click here and you go and you see the entire APIs for scanner. It even has a lot of text that describes what the class does, okay? Anyway, you can see all the different methods. Actually, last time I did go over this, didn't I? I showed you next line, next. In the lab, you did cover this already as well, right? So I'm not gonna go over this. Next class? No. This class, we'll talk about this. This card. So this is the problem. These lectures are all made for 3 times a week meeting. And now I'm meeting you twice a week for 1 hour, 20 minutes. So I need to cover a little bit over. I'm not gonna go too much, okay? I promise you. It's still the first week. But I think unit 2 for me is the more interesting one. And then it's gonna get just more interesting as we go to composition, inheritance, and polymorphism. All good stuff. So this is unit 2. How do you make this go? Yes. So concepts of OOP. Describe OOP, objects, variables, methods, constructors, getters and setters. Have you guys taken getters and setters in the lab? Good. That's why I want to discuss this before the guys on Sunday meet with Engineer Ayman. So how does, let's take our time. Okay, I'm not gonna rush through this. It's fun, right? Program development process. What do you do when you start developing a Java application? You basically open a text file and you write Java program in it, right? This is usually your class. Every class goes in one file, like I told you last time. So you start with a text editor. And if I tell you where's that text editor, it's an Eclipse on the right side. This thing that I put code in. That's actually a text editor. What happens to the text editor? When you save it, it saves it as a file, source file, .java, and then it's actually read by the Java compiler. Now the Java compiler takes your text file and it outputs any idea? What does it output? Very good, I like that answer, but Java is an exception. So when you did C++, your compiler actually outputted zeros and ones. That exe thing that you double click on is actually zeros and ones. You double click and it runs on the CPU with Windows, whatever, Mac libraries. Here, that's not the case. I don't produce zeros and ones. Why? Unlike C++, what's nice about Java? Do you guys know? It works on all the platforms. They have a motto. They say something. They say, code once, run everywhere, or something like this. That's the selling point of Java. Why your program, for example, this PowerPoint application, if I take the executable, okay, maybe that's a bad example. Any exe program that you developed in C++, if you take it and you give it to your friend, your Windows, and you give it to your friend who's using Mac, can he double click on this? It won't work. Why? Yes, it's a different, we call these different environments that you can execute in. What makes an environment? Two things, the operating system you're running and the system architecture. What's the system architecture? System architecture, anyone? You don't need to take architecture, you should know this. How come when I told you download Java, you all said Windows x64? You all said that. You knew which one to click on. What's x64? That's your CPU language. That's the architecture of your CPU. What's here? And on your phones too. Is it x64? Is it x60, whatever, the other one? 32 bits? No. What is it? It's ARM. Have you ever read the words ARM? A-R-M? There's ARM32 and ARM64. Have you read about these? Have you heard about them? This is the architecture that runs here. What makes them different? The language. The zeros and ones that you put on an x86 or an x64 is different than the language you put for an ARM architecture machine. And Java, to fix all of this, they said, you know what? Forget about all of this. We're going to have one file that the coder produces, and then we're going to translate this to whatever the machine is currently running. Okay? That's why you all have to install something called the Java Virtual Machine. I talked really fast about this. Usually I do nice diagrams and things. You know what? I might do it after the slide. I'll show you in a graph how this looks like. So here, the Java compiler, what does it produce? If it produces zeros and ones, it's not going to work on Mac. I'm in Windows right now, right? So what does it produce? It produces something in the middle called bytecode, Java bytecode. Okay, these are your .class files. I'm going to show you these in my Eclipse project. These bytecode or .class files are then taken by the Java virtual machine, the JVM, and then it interprets that, the word he used here, interprets that to the actual architecture environment that you're running on. That's the job of the JVM. That's why the JVM, it's important that you get the one for your machine. Is it Mac? Is it Windows? Is it 64? Is it 32? You need to get the right JVM. Last time I showed you how to download the JVM for your machine. Finally, the program is actually talking, right? This is, in essence, the big picture. Okay, I will quiz you on this, by the way. I mean, when you talk about Unit 1, this is Unit 2 even. I mean, so this is a combination. We're going to do a quiz on Unit 1 and Unit 2. This stuff I will ask you about. I want you to know what you're doing. How does this thing actually execute? I don't want you to just run, and just see output and not understand what's happening behind the scenes. So portability, this is the marketing basically of Java. Portable means that a program may be written one machine and run on multiple machines. That's the definition of portability. Java bytecode runs on the JVM and not on any particular CPU. Therefore, compiled Java programs are highly portable. With most programming languages, portability is achieved by compiling a program for each environment. When you have Microsoft Office, for example, if I want to make the same program for Mac and Windows, I need to recompile one on Windows and one on Mac so that the zeros and ones are different and they can run on these two architectures, and really architectures, environments. Java provides a JVM for each platform so that programmers do not have to recompile. So here you have examples. Windows, Mac, Linux. Anyone uses Linux? Very curious to know. You used it before? Okay, that's good. I mean, okay, that's good. That's good. I think, we say getting your feet wet with Linux at this point is a good idea. It is absolutely the tool to use. If you go to my office, actually, you will see Linux. I don't. The only reason why I'm using Windows is so that I can use fancy things for you guys, like a pen, Office, Outlook. It's work that made me do this. But throughout my master's and PhD, Linux. I always use Linux. So I think I started like around your time. Virtual machine, these kind of things. I didn't really jump into it. What's a famous Linux distribution? Ubuntu, right? Everybody's using Ubuntu. BSD, what is this? It's actually, did you guys know that Mac is based on BSD? BSD is the actual kernel that is inside Mac. So this is your bytecode. This is the idea. It runs on the Java virtual machine for Windows, for Linux, for Mac, and for Unix, for all the others. As a matter of fact, Android. Do you guys know how Android is running? You code. How do you code for Android programs? Actually, Java. You code in Java. So you produce bytecode. And then there's a similar thing to JVM, translating that bytecode to the architecture that's on your phone. That's why Android works on x86 laptops. There are Android for laptops, and on your phones, and on your tablets, and on all these different things. TVs, right? You've seen this on TV, your TV, your watch. That's the whole idea. Let's draw. Okay, this is the first time I draw for this class. By the way, you're quickly going to notice something about my drawings. They are the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. And you'll wish you've never seen them. Anyway, so I talked to you about architecture, I talked to you about these things. Let's just put things in perspective. How do these architectures work? When I tell you what's an environment that you're running on, I told you it's two things, right? The environment, it's the OS and the architecture of the CPU. So at the very bottom, you have the architecture of the CPU, right? So here you have x86, here you have x64, and here you have ARM. And then, you have a bunch of things, basically. Here you even have like ARM 64 or whatever. You have actually more than this, okay? This is just the general idea. On top of this comes the OS. Here you have you're quickly going to realize I have a bias towards Android, right? And let's put Windows in the end because really it's the worst thing that man has created. I should really filter all of this on YouTube. You know, it becomes tricky when you're doing YouTube. Before you think you can talk, you can say anything. Then because you're on YouTube, you need to actually watch what you're doing. Anyway, these two things make your environment. Any different combination is a different environment. I cannot take a Windows compiled program on ARM and run it on a Windows program, on a Windows machine that's running x86. No can do. You need to recompile it for x86. Okay, you got the idea? What's on top of this? Now, usually, you have your cute exe files. These exe files are running for a particular environment, is the correct one. How do I get the drawing tools? So let's go back up. So this exe is made for Windows ARM, or it's made, so this is option 1, or it's made for Linux x64. Every time you target one of these, you need to create another exe, another executable, another binary, zeros and ones. Java came and said, you know what, this is a mess. I don't like this. This is bad. What I'm going to do is instead of this exe, I'm going to give people something called the Java Virtual Machine, the JVM. Now the JVM will run here. Not exactly. I don't like to use that term, points of distribution, because it could mean a lot of things actually, but just follow through to the end, then I think it will be clear. So the JVM, you have a specific JVM for each environment. That's why when I showed you the Oracle website, you all said Windows x64. Windows x64, right? That's the JVM that you're running on this machine. That's what I have at the moment. But if someone else has Mac, anyone here Mac? These guys will probably launch the Mac JVM. So you will have JVM x64 right here. So you have different JVMs running across. How does this fix the problem? Where's your program? Your program we haven't even come to yet, right? Just take this down. Now, they created a new layer for you guys. This is your actual bytecode. This is your .class file that exists in your bin folder, if you've ever seen these in Eclipse. I'll show you these. This always runs on the JVM, regardless which JVM you have. So you see how this works? When you compile, you produce .class files, bytecode, Java bytecode. These Java bytecode will just need a JVM. It doesn't care which JVM. It will do the same thing, whether it's Windows, Mac, Linux. Capiche? Yes. Very nice. Love that. Absolutely. And that's why a lot of people don't use it. Microsoft is a bad example, but they don't use it. They're slow without it. Imagine with it. What does this do, the JVM? What does it actually do? It translates. It takes the bytecode that is generic, that Java produces, and it translates it to the machine it's running on. Live. As you execute the program, it's translating. You got this? So imagine you have this Superman sitting here. He understands all the languages of the world. And then you have a bunch of people from different places. You have Chinese guys, American, French, German, maybe a guy from Ghana or Kenya or whatever. They speak different languages, and they're all trying to communicate to you, right? This Superman translates all these languages live to اللهجة الإقطارية live, just like Al Jazeera. Have you seen Al Jazeera when they're translating live? I don't like it. كما أننا لو أننا نقول أن والله I didn't understand anything personally. But anyway, imagine this is your imaginary Superman that is actually translating. This is the JVM. Okay? Capiche? Next time you see this on Al Jazeera, you're gonna remember. Anyway, let's go back here. Bytecode. You didn't understand the bytecode because I didn't show you. You just remind. Let me go back and show you. Okay. I'm not gonna let you out. Do you prefer that I let you out earlier, or that I take my time explaining these things to you? Take my time explaining. I hope, right? How many people think it's a bad idea? Okay. This is my program, Java. When I click compile, it should produce something, right? It produces the bytecode and then it ran it on the JVM. It did these two steps. Where's the bytecode? Ta-da! Command line. And then I think this is Scratchpad. So this is the folder of where my project actually lives, okay? Last time I showed you source, remember I told you this trick question, or you thought it was trick question, it was not. The packages, CMPS251 and my, right? If I tell you to draw the actual system folder structure, you should be able to do it. Anyway, these are your text files, the ones you're actually coding in. Now, let's go to the bin folder and see what's here. Look, the same stuff. The packages are here. But if I go, look at what I have. Test.class. What is this? That's your bytecode. Do you want to open it? Garbage. Because it's not ASCII. Someone has to interpret this for you. As a matter of fact, Java actually gives you a tool that it can use to open up these bytecodes. You want to see it? This is turning into a lab more than a theory. Yes. Is this machine language? This one? No. Close. Machine language, usually you're talking assembly. And that's the zeros and ones that gets executed. Low, very low level. Do you guys do zeros and ones? Assembly? Not your fault. Okay. That's your fault. Our fault. But this is a shame. Because to really speak the language of the computer, you need to speak the zeros and ones. And that's assembly. And when you compile a C++ program, what happens? You produce an exe. If you open it, it's actually zeros and ones. That's what executes on your CPU. That's what your CPU understands, zeros and ones. Okay, so here we are. Let's go to bin. And I believe it's called Java P. And then what was the 251.first.test, I think? Nice. Yeah, so it gave me something. So this is basically taking the class file that I have and it's dumping out a close approximation of the bytecode or how it looks like in ASCII. Okay? I don't think Java P minus P is the correct one, but this is as close as it gets, I think, for me. What is it called? You guys remember? My package 2 and then dot something to import. My dot package 2 dot. Yeah, so there you go. This is actually taking the dump of the bytecode and outputting this. There is a better way to show it. I can't do it right now. Here, Stack Overflow. Don't think you're the only one going there. Minus C. Look at this. I like this. You guys can't read it probably, right? Difficult. But how does the bytecode look like usually? It's very simple instructions. Move something from this register to this register. Multiply this number, this register by this register. Take this constant, add it to this register. The CPU has little registers inside. So that's the language it understands. And this basically took my class, my object, if you like, or my bytecode, and it gave me out all the bytecode, what it translates to. This is not Java language, by the way. This is Java bytecode language. Then how do you execute once you have the bytecode? The same command I did here. Actually, let's go to the test because my main is in test. And you just do Java. There you go. Factorial is 0. You see that? That Java command that I did here is actually the JVM. I'm executing the JVM and I'm saying, take this class, interpret it for me. It interprets it and it outputs it for me for my architecture, Windows x64. Everybody got this? Yeah? Better. So thank you very much. I love it when students take the class where I want it to go. So here, immediately one guy said, isn't this slow? Think of Al Jazeera always, right? إننا نقول إن الشعب والحكومة. It's very slow. And it never matches the guy's saying. For me, it's like, shut up, I'm trying to listen to the guy behind him. This is speed right here. So this is the first impact that you get, is the speed. What is an advantage of using Java, if I ask you? Okay, precisely. Plain. What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
But
do I need a translator for C++? You don't, right? So the guy talking in Al Jazeera, his audience are actually in English as well. There's no translation. Is this faster? Or a guy who's speaking Arabic and then this guy coming in the middle and translating for you all the time? There's no comparison, right? Do you have a translator now with me? No, this is the fastest way for you to get everything from me. So C++, by far, it's the fastest. .NET framework. Yeah. This is not translation, no. This is libraries that you're going to use in your program. Make your program small. You don't reinvent the wheel. Some things are given to you, so you just use them. Okay? Shlon, everything okay? And always like to check your pulse, see how you're doing. What is it? You're still high. That's good. Huh? You're still alive. Okay. By the way, I don't like this room so much. I don't know how you guys feel. You share the same thing. You like this room? You got used to it. I didn't. So I might move you guys, okay, to a new place. Very nice place. Oh man, you guys are gonna love it. It's not finished yet, okay? So as soon as it finishes, I might try with you guys. I'm gonna try a lot of things with you. I'm trying the app with you guys. I'm gonna try the new room with you guys. There's a word for this in English. You guys know what it is? No, it's not. It's actually an animal. Very close. They call them the guinea pigs. It's not a pig, so don't think I'm calling you that. A guinea pig is a small rat that they use for testing. So they tell you usually, you guys are my guinea pigs. Or بالعامي صبار التجارب صح؟ ما سمعت الحين صارت فار التجارب ما ادري احنا على ايامنا شنو هاي صبار التجارب؟ This is the same concept, guinea pig in English. I think this is a good time to actually stop it. Hamad, he actually told me about his. You can go. Yes, he told me about something he has to do. But I don't encourage this. Don't see and say, "Oh, we can do that." No, you cannot do that. Okay, I'm telling you this. Oh, one thing I always tell students also. How about I stop YouTube?